This week we will be drawing a pumpkin since it is still fall, autumn season. And we will also take and put lines on our paper to separate the paper into 4 different sections. And then using only warm colors, which are our red, orange, yellow, and brown. And I know this one has some cool colors in it, but we're not going to use the green and the purple or any other cool colors. We're going to use just warm colors for the whole entire paper. We're going to, once we separate it into 4 different sections, we're going to add some zentangles. And zentangles are patterns put together, and no 2 patterns can be side by side. So when we separate this into 4 different sections, no 2, and then the pumpkin itself has a pattern with the ribs on the pumpkin. No 2 patterns can be side by side. So right here, I couldn't put zigzags right here or right here because zigzags would be here. I couldn't do cross hatching here or here. I couldn't do right here. I wouldn't be able to put circles or dots, whatever you want to call them, in any of these sections because they would be side by side. Now, remember, we are going to use zentangles for our patterns. And one of our patterns is cross hatching, where you just simply take and go across, kind of like a checkerboard pattern. And that's called cross hatching. And we're going to use pattern, which is repetition, where you draw the same thing over and over again. Now, like I said, we're going to only use those warm colors, the red, orange, yellow, and brown. So first we're going to draw our pumpkin. And we're just going to simply take a curved line, bring it around, and kind of, once we bring it around and get to the bottom, we're going to bring it up just a little, because pumpkins kind of have a dip in the bottom of them to where they come up just a little, and when you pick them up and turn them upside down, it almost looks like they have a belly button there. So I'm going to keep on bringing that around. Once we do our dip, we're going to bring it back out and around, and around towards the top, and dip it down in the center so we can have our vine that it was cut off of, our stem that's left at the top. We can have it at the top and bring another line in for dimension of that stem. Now we're going to add the ribs on our pumpkin. And the ribs on our pumpkin are where, if you've ever noticed, pumpkin seems kind of bumpy all the way around. And just kind of like big lumps that kind of go like that. So, and they're called ribs on a pumpkin. So just add our lines for our ribs. Now, once you have your pumpkin, the next thing you want to do is you just want to draw lines in whatever kind of shape you want. Yours can curve a completely different way. It can be more curvy, but just do some curved lines to separate your paper into 4 different sections. And for this first section, you can do any patterns that you want. They do not have to be these patterns right here. But I'm just going to do a zigzag pattern here. I'm not going to run through my pumpkin. Let's say I'm going to work around it. So you want to kind of judge where your zigzag would end behind your pumpkin. And same thing goes for this part. And then our last zigzag. Now here, I'm going to come in with circles. That I'm going to eventually color in. And on this one is where I was talking about I was going to do some cross hatching to make it look kind of like in this section, kind of like checkerboard pattern. So I'm just going to do some straight lines. Going whichever way I want them to go. And then the other ones need to go the opposite straight way. So bring those straight lines down. And here I'm just going to do some curved lines throughout this whole entire section. Well, it's not curved, but wavy lines. These are wavy lines. Just back and forth. Waving them back and forth until I run out of room for them. And then, of course, naturally, you can color with whatever colors you want. I mean, color with whatever material you want. We're only using warm colors. So, let's start with my pumpkin. And yes, brown is a warm color. It's a color we think about keeping us warm during the fall and autumn. So for the stem of my pumpkin, I colored it brown. I'm going to come in with some really light orange, which is apricot, for part of my pumpkin. Then the rest of my pumpkin is going to be a darker orange. So now, I would have to come in and color my zigzags. And I think I'm going to use red, that's plain red. Let that bleed through on the paper. Red and every other one, if I don't want to go ahead and switch colors, I'd have to make sure and be careful that every other one is red. That's awfully close to that red orange, but it is two different colors. I'm going to come in with just plain orange. And every other one will be this plain orange color. Oops. And I am going to color my dots. Fill my circles in with brown here. And then my cross hatching, I am going to color this in solid because it has that cross hatching pattern. So I'm going to color it in solid brown. You can choose to do every other square a different color. That is entirely up to you, as long as they are warm colors. Our reds, yellows, oranges, and browns. I'm going to come on here with this warm color. This warm yellow and orange. Warm because yellow, orange, and red considered warm because they remind us of the sun and fire. And then once I have that done, my background background for this one. I need to pick some colors for my wavy lines. And then I think I'm going to go with just plain red. Yellow orange, which is a lighter orange. And do every other one. And fall and autumn just run all the way to December 21st. So that only gives a few days before Christmas, where it is still fall before it becomes winter. And I'm going to use that reddish orange color again. Finish this off. Come in between here. So there we have our pumpkin using zentangles. Just finish off the edge of this. And there we have it. Just make sure you remember that zentangles are patterns that no two patterns can be the same side by side. And they're just patterns that you think of that you put together. And you will have some examples of zentangles in your classwork with this assignment. And remember to only use your warm colors, which is the reds, orange, yellows, and browns. And here we have our zentangle pumpkin for the rest of the fall season.